Most salespeople fail not because they don't have enough leads, not because they're not making enough dials. They fail because they're not asking the right questions. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to stop sounding like a robot, sound like an expert, and finally close more deals consistently month over month. If you're new here, my name is Javi Chavez. I have scaled info products to over $40 million in sales. I have hired and fired hundreds of salespeople. I've been a closer for the last 10 years of my life, helping people out. And this training actually came from a training I did upstairs with my sales team today. So it's fresh in my mind. I have to get this out to you guys because I know it's gonna help somebody close more deals. Let's get into it. First things first, we have to talk about your mindset. You probably heard the phrase, people buy from people they like. Not in 2025. People buy from people they think are competent and from people they think can actually help them solve the problem that they're encountering. Your job isn't to make friends. Your job is to make the prospect feel comfortable enough to tell you the truth so you can actually solve their problem, and more importantly, so you can help them reach a decision. As a salesperson, you need to detach yourself from the outcome of getting a sale. You are helping guide your prospect down the route of making a decision. At the end of the day, if your product or service isn't actually the best thing for them, you should not be selling them on your product or service. The best closers are guides, not pushers. There's a difference. You're there to help them make a decision, even if it's a no. Think about sales and asking questions like verbal jujitsu. You're there to move with your prospect's momentum. The prospect is going to give you openings through the things that they say, and it's your job to take those openings, pull on those threads, and get them to reveal the true reason why they're on the call with you. They don't know where your sales call is going. You do. Use that to your advantage. One of the big mistakes I see with newer salespeople are they put their prospect on a pedestal. They, for whatever reason, feel like because they're calling them, that their time is less valuable than their prospects. A true good closer knows that they're actually providing value to their prospect, and they act like it on the call. They're very direct, and they're just trying to figure out whether or not it's going to be a good fit one way or the other. Once you have the right mindset, now we move on to section 2, which is tonality. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. I know you've heard that so many times before, but it is so important in your sales interactions. A bad script with great tonality will always beat a good script with bad tonality. Meaning, even if I say the wrong words on a sales interaction, but my energy is there, the way I'm asking the question is there, that'll get me further than somebody who says everything perfectly with a bad tone. So Jeremy Miner's done a really good job of this, having his different tones. This is the same thing that I try to instill in all of our salespeople. When you're asking your beginning questions, you're gonna sound a lot more inquisitive. You're asking. But once you get into the consequence questions, and I'm gonna show you what consequence questions are in a little bit, but once you get in here, you're slowing your tone down. You're sounding concerned. So, hey, what happens if you don't figure this out? So what happens if you're not able to achieve XYZ? So these are the different types of tones that you need to have throughout your sales interaction. In the intro, you need to be direct and confident. If you're cold calling somebody, or even if you're just calling somebody who's opted in to your funnel or whatever, you need to have different tonality based on where you're at in your sales interaction, right? For your intro, you have to be direct and confident. I don't care if it's a cold call, calling a warm lead back, you need to have that first 10 seconds down so tight. The second that somebody picks up the phone, they are judging you, and you have 6 seconds, if not less, to get that person to trust you and figure out whether or not they want to actually stay on the sales call with you. And if you don't have your intro down, you need to sit in front of the mirror and practice day in, day out until you get it down. When you're asking situational questions, trying to figure out where they're at today, it's curious, it's inquisitive. When you're asking these pain or these consequence questions, the things like, hey, what happens if you don't figure this out? Your tone is gonna slow down. You're gonna sound a lot more concerned because you genuinely are. Right? So when we talk about our students with our real estate education, it's like, hey man, you've been looking into real estate for the last 6 months, a year. How long have you been watching YouTube videos? What happens if you don't take action like you said you're going to, right? We're asking these questions, and because I'm genuinely concerned. If I get off the phone with this person and they don't change their life, nothing's gonna change 6 months from now. And then when we move into the close, we're very clear, we're assertive, we're matter of fact, because we're confident. We've done this hundreds of times before. And even if we haven't done it hundreds of times before, we need to act as if. And then here's a quick tactic practical tip. Always match their energy, but be one notch above. What I mean by that is if I get on a sales call with somebody who's at a 2 level in energy and I'm a 10, I'm gonna be totally off-putting. So what I need to do is the second that I get on the phone, I'm gonna start off right at a 5, very direct. But then when I hear the response back, I'm gonna be one notch above where they're at. If somebody's at a 2, I'm gonna be at a 3. Somebody's upbeat and at an 8, I'm at a 9, right? So I'm always gonna be one notch above their energy level because people like to feed off of that. Next, we have to talk about the actual framework of your sales call. Structure creates freedom. Once you know the framework, you can go off script like a pro. Sales is a lot like a movie. The best actors know their script inside and out. They know the other person's lines inside and out, and that's how they can go off script and create beautiful works of art. Here's the basic framework. Start off with the intro. Who's the prospect? Why are they even on the phone with you in the first place? What got them to fill out the form, express interest, or if it's a cold call, you have to express why you're calling them. Situational questions. We have to understand where they're at today, where are their finances, etc. Then we move into problem awareness. What's not working for them, or what's the pain point that they need to solve? After we understand that, we move into consequence questions, meaning what happens if we don't solve that problem that they're encountering? Once we understand all those things, now we can move into the solution awareness stage, meaning, hey, are you open to something different? And then we can transition into our pitch and into our close. Moving into our situational and our setup questions. These are things like, what got you curious about reaching out to us? Where are you at today? What are you doing for work? The big thing with us, at least, and I know most people that are watching this, they have to figure out if the prospect is financially qualified. In the B2C space, a lot of it is like, hey, tell me a little bit more about what you're doing right now for work. Okay, how much money would you need to replace your current income? You see how I'm asking that as opposed to, hey, how much money do you make? Or, hey, can you afford our product or service? It's a way better situation if I'm gonna ask, hey, what are you doing for work? How much money do you need to replace your current income? That's a much better question than how much money do you need to make. On the business to business side, it's a little bit easier to financially qualify because you can be like, hey, how long have you been thinking about solving this problem? Have you talked about what an approximate budget is for this? The best thing you can do on the business to business or business to consumer side is ask this question. Hey, have you looked into anything similar in the past? And then if they say yes, guess what I'm asking next? How much were you looking to spend, or how much did you spend on that thing? Then I can figure out what they're spent in the past, meaning they might be open to spending that in the future. Next, we move into problem awareness questions. Listen, people don't buy because of the problem. They buy because of the pain of not being able to solve it. Some examples of these types of questions are, what's been stopping you from getting started sooner? What's frustrated you about this process so far? What have you already tried that didn't work? The big mistake that salespeople make once they get into discovery is everything sounds like a checklist. The best salespeople understand that when they have a good question, they're gonna ask 2 to 3 follow-up questions to dig deeper on that specific topic or problem. They're asking things like, hey, tell me more about that. How long has this been a challenge for you? What do you mean by that exactly? Like, ask clarifying questions, even if you think you know the answer, because you're gonna get them to start expressing more pain and more issues or more motivation on why they're on the call and what problem they need solved. And the thing is, the best salespeople ask these questions because now they are getting the prospect to start moving higher and higher past the buying line, right? In every sales interaction, there is this imaginary line called the buying line or the buying threshold. When you ask good questions to uncover the pain, to get them to really express their motivation, that prospect is slowly moving higher and higher to that buying threshold, to the point where they need to get this problem solved ASAP. And the best salespeople are overcoming their objections in discovery. And they do this by asking consequence questions. Great consequence questions go something like this. Hey, what happens if nothing changes? What's the cost of staying where you are? Is this something that you can afford to keep doing? Where does this leave you if you don't figure this out soon? Are you okay waiting another year to be in the same exact position? Your tone of voice here is quiet, concerned. Don't rush these. Silence is great in a sales interaction. A new salesperson is going to try to fill the void of silence with filler words, or they're going to ask another question right away. Let the prospect think it over. Let the prospect answer the questions that you are asking. My entire sales ethos could be boiled down to 4 things. Number 1, make the prospect feel comfortable enough to actually tell you the truth. 2, ask good questions to understand where the prospect is at today and where they want to go. 3, position your product or service as the bridge that gets them from where they're at today to where they want to go. 4, once we have agreed that our product or service is the best thing for them, close as hard as humanly possible. In closing, great salespeople, they guide their prospect further down the funnel to making a decision. Sales is service. If you believe your product or service can actually help them, which all of you should, get obsessed with getting people to making a decision that is best for them. If you guys got value, shoot me a follow. I'll see you soon.